Now this is where we're at. Let's see how we can add some color to our particles. So we do have a pop color operator. Let's connect it. And you can choose a constant color, of course, but that's not very interesting. So instead of using a constant, let's use a ramp. And this ramp is going to take into account the n age. And basically this is a normalized age, meaning that it's equal to dividing the age by the total lifespan. It's going to give you exactly the same result. But it's good that we already have a normalized age. So instead of having an age that goes from 0 to the total lifespan of the particle, this way we already have access to an attribute that goes from 0 to 1, being 0 the moment the particle is born and 1 the moment the particle dies. Now here we're gonna adjust this in order to have something that's more like fire. So at the start we'll have something pretty bright. Let's start with something yellow. Let me make this bigger. A bright yellow, something like this. We can then add another flag. Let's say we go to orange. Then we add another one, we go to red, and then the last one is going to be black. Let's just make sure that this is not as saturated. And I think this should work. So now we should see that our particles, when they're born, they're yellow, and as they approximate their death, they become darker and darker until they get red and then eventually black. So this is more spark color. The next thing we'll be adding is a bit more dynamic to the motion, and we can do that with a pop wind. It's similar to a force, a pop force. So we'll make them fall at different rates. We'll add a bit of strength pulling them down, and we'll turn on the Vex expressions just so that we can randomize the way this is being applied to the particles. If we come here, we can randomize magnitude using this. Just using this is going to give us a number from 0 to 1, and it's a bit too extreme. So let's kind of just change this a bit. Let's fit 0, 1, random based on ID, and then we'll say that it's going to be, let's say, 0.75 and 1.5. or 1.2. And this will give us different intensities, and some of them will fall faster, some of them will fall slower. Okay, as you can see now, the shape is different. Now the next thing we'll do is we also have noise here. Let's add a bit of noise. We can, let's say, big amplitude. The swirl size needs to be small because this is a small area that we're affecting. Let's also use Vex expressions to kind of randomize this a bit as well. You always have some presets here on this corner. So let's say we'll randomize, or let me just type something. So we can always use this as a starting point. This amp refers to the amplitude parameter, and you can check the name of the parameter just by letting the cursor on top of it. So the parameter is amp. So we can just say amp is going to be equal to times equal something. And we're going to do the same thing. Let's randomize this a lot. Let's use rand based on ID. And let's go with, let's go to the swirl size, and maybe we can, okay, so it's swirl size. We'll randomize this as well, swirl size. And we'll say this is also times equal, same thing. Let's just give it a different Control C, Control V, and let's just add something here. Okay, so now we should have an extra motion. It's going to be really hard to see here, but we should be adding a bit of more motion to this. Okay, what else? As a side note, maybe it's a good idea for us to clarify what ID is. Whenever we're generating particles, as you can imagine, the number of particles is always changing, not only because we're adding particles, but because we're deleting particles as well. And usually you would refer to a point using its point number, but the point number is always going to be changing. So the way the pop solver deals with it is whenever a particle is born, it assigns a particle ID, an ID to it. Let's check it out here. Geometry. Let's have a look at the ID. So when we start, these are going to match, but as time goes by, these won't match because some of them are dying, some of them are being born, and the point number changes, but they all have their own specific ID. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. Okay? It's a way of referencing to the particles that's not dependent of the number of points that are in the scene. So that way we always know, even if we delete a certain particle, the point number is going to change, but each particle has its own ID. And that's basically it. I think we have pretty much everything set.